indicates that the Union has exclusive executive power over entries in List 1. The states have exclusive executive power over entries in List 2. With respect to List 3, that is a concurrent list, the Union shall have executive power only if provided by the Constitution or by a law of Parliament. The states shall have executive power over the entries in List 3. However, if a central legislation or a provision of the Constitution confers executive power to the Union with respect to a List 3 subject, then the executive power of the state shall be subject to such law or provision. The executive power of the Union in a state over matters on which both states and the Union of India can legislate, that is the concurrent list, is limited to ensure that the governance of the states is not taken over by the Union. This would completely abrogate the federal system of governance and the principle of representative democracy. It is with this objective in mind that the members of the Constituent Assembly thought it fit to limit the executive power of the Union in a state over matters on which the state legislature also has legislative competence.
Well, just to quickly recap what exactly it is that the Chief Justice has said. He said that the Union taking over all the legislative powers abrogates the federal system, that the principle of federalism must be respected, that the Union cannot take over all legislative and appointive power. It also, you held the Chief Justice of India right now talking about how if the elected government don't have any control, how can they possibly fulfill the responsibility towards the assembly and towards the people, in which you heard the Chief Minister say, what is the purpose of having an elected government in Delhi if, according to you, all the union territories are administered by the central civil officers? The Chief Justice also said that the bench also queried if an officer is not discharging his role, shouldn't the Delhi government have the power to shift him and get someone else? The bench was of the view that inability to transfer inefficient officers will dilute the function and control of the Delhi government. So these are the statements coming in from the Chief Justice of India.
It's a big boost for the Delhi government. The Aam Aadmi Party in the national capital, the Chief Justice of India led Constitution bench saying that the real power lies with the elected government, and if you don't allow them to take the decisions, how will they fulfill the aspirations of the people that has voted them to power? Siddharth Talia now joining us. Siddharth, important observations in this defining verdict. This will have ramifications for a long time to come.
Absolutely, Pranesh. The Supreme Court clearly demarcating the responsibilities of the union government as well as the state government with respect to the governance of the national capital. What was very interesting about what the Supreme Court said, and this was something that was mentioned by Justice Chandrachud in his concluding observations, that no union territory is like another. There's no homogeneity as far as the governance of union territories is concerned. Delhi, therefore, acquires a fairly unique status because at the end of the day, it has an elected government, and the union government cannot, in fact, blur the distinctions between an elected government of Delhi and the functions of the union government and encroach upon somebody else's jurisdiction. That was clearly the import of what Justice Chandrachud said in his final observations. Very importantly, also saying that as far as land, public order and the police are concerned, the jurisdiction entirely lies in the domain of the union government. But when it comes to other functions, and as far as the remit of the court in this specific matter is concerned, with respect to the appointment as well as the transfer of officials, the remit will lie with the elected government of Delhi. After all, it has been elected to power to discharge a series of functions, and therefore it would be undermining the federal structure of the Constitution, as well as the fact that this is an elected government if it is not allowed to acquit its responsibilities. So that is ultimately the import of what the Supreme Court has said, a clear demarcation drawn between the functions of the union and the state, a clear Lakshman Rekha, so to speak.